Recording. All right, whenever you're ready. 3, 2.
Hi, folks. This is Philip Naiman from Firing Line Radio Show. Now, for those of you out here in KQNA and Prescott land, this is the first time you're hearing this show. So I want to do a little bit of introduction and thank you for letting us grace Prescott with our show. We're really excited to be out here. Firing Line Radio Show has been around for almost 10 years now. We've been in Southern California. And like everything else, we're coming to Arizona. So we've been in Southern California for about 10 years. We are a Second Amendment focused show. We want to make sure that we cover God, guns, our freedoms, gear, having a great time in the wilderness, patriotism, overlanding, all, prepping, all the great things that we actually do as a lifestyle out here. And we want to make sure that we cover that in our show. Now, we're very positive on the Second Amendment. We are Second Amendment supporters. We've done a lot of work in California with the California Rifle and Pistol Association. We're looking forward to getting involved more out here in Arizona. Myself, I'm an old man who's been shooting for a long time. I am a jack of all trades, a master of none. So I get to go out and experience a lot of great shooting and just enjoy it. And I want to share all of that with you. So the purpose of this show is to bring in an audio format to bring more information to you about what's available, guns, gear, what's happening in legislative with the Supreme Court, with some of the cases that have come on there, and just to keep you all apprised of where we are in supporting our Second Amendment. And getting people involved with that has been a great joy of mine. So our website is firinglineradio.com, firinglineradio.com. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. Oddly enough, they're called Firing Line Radio. Also at Gab and at YouTube, once again, you might find it under Firing Line Radio. So we're very glad to be here at KQNA. We're also on AM 590 The Answer in Southern California. You can get our podcasts at firinglineradio.com. Again, lots of shows there, and YouTube channels. We have all kinds of stuff happening with that. So that's who we are. We're very glad to be out here. KQNA, I think it stands for Kickin' A. I don't know. We're still figuring that out, but KQNA, Kickin' A here with the Second Amendment. So my guest here today, and very glad to do this, is our first show coming from the Prescott studios. Our guest here today is Grant Quezada. Grant is with the he's the owner of Founding Fathers Collectives here in Prescott, but he's got a lot of history and a lot of great information on long range shooting, and he's an okay guy. So we're going to bring him on the show here. So Grant, how are you doing this morning?
Doing great. I got, I guess I got my bang. I got my caffeinated tea, and I just bought a new Wilson Combat grip for my pistol. So everything's going. I mean, what else can you do on a Thursday?
What is the Wilson Combat blower?
It's like for a 6 hour P365. So I just, while you were talking, I wanted to buy one because a couple of weeks ago they were sold out. So I'm like, I got to get one now. So I was buying that and a trigger and some other stuff. Hopefully my wife's listening because she'll be like, what? Stop buying stuff.
Well, it doesn't matter. You're new to the show. So, and matter of fact, a lot of people are new to the show here in Prescott. We have a bit of a rule. And that is that, we don't want to ruin marriages. Really don't. We're family friendly. And so when you're in the car, if you've actually got your wife's permission as you're driving someplace to listen to the show, the last thing we're going to do is drop dime on you, right? So all firearms cost about $100.
Oh, absolutely.
Ammunition's about $20, right? A hunting trip is about $200. Now, your mileage may vary, but those are our rough. So that lower for the P365 was probably around 100.
Oh, if that, I think it was $30.
It's firearms are extremely affordable.
Mm-hmm.
And actually you get bulk discounts. The more you buy, the cheaper they get, is what I've heard.
Not always. So
that's what on this show, that's our standard. So we're gonna focus on that. So IOUs
are always acceptable too. So
right, the combination of the SIG P365 and it's the PIG 365. Anyway, the SIG 365 is a awesome firearm. Now, if you're in the People's Republic of Occupied California, you're not able to buy one. It's actually not on our roster list. But here in Arizona, in free America, you just clicked it on your phone and was done.
That's it. I'll see it in a couple days. So
That's the way life should be, folks. It's the way life should be. Okay. So Grant, tell us a little bit about yourself.
yeah, so originally from California myself. My folks moved to Prescott when I was about 4 or 5 back in the early 80s, mid 80s. My wife and I met in 2nd grade here at Christian Academy, grew up here, going to the school system, got in a little bit of trouble at Prescott High School, which everybody kind of already knows because I ran for city council last year and, put that out there, but I got a top secret security clearance, so whatever. But was a hairdresser.
You've gotten smarter since then.
Yeah, barely, more wily maybe.
That's smarter.
Yeah. Took off after high school, went to Missouri, was a hairdresser for 3 years, joined the Army, 23, spent 8 years on active duty, all 8 years with Ranger Regiment. So I was at 2nd Ranger Battalion and got out in 2014, stayed in the Arizona National Guard, took over the sniper section for the state for about 5 or 6 years. Now I just ride a desk up at range control at Camp Navajo. And I've had the privilege of, shooting quite a bit, different competitions, writing curriculum for different agencies, teaching a lot of courses, and just all around, enjoying my time in Prescott and being able to do kind of what I do when I want to do it.
So it's an interesting swing around. So you had an idea for, you're a hairdresser for years,
Yeah.
right? And then you started this other company here in Prescott,
Mhm.
John Hancock. So what's the idea? What's this John Hancock? Where does that come in?
Yeah. So
Everybody
I
thinks insurance.
yeah. So when I got out of the Army on active duty, 2014, I had my 2 weeks of, 2 months of kind of like terminal leave, which was paid vacation time saved up. I went and did a 2-month master course in Santa Monica at Vidal Sassoon, which was geared towards color and haircutting. Then I ended up going back to Missouri. I got my barber's license, and I did not want to kind of move back to Prescott and get into the hairdressing scene. I kind of had my spiel of that, but I didn't want to kind of fall prey to, I think, what a lot of guys end up vectoring towards when they leave, especially the special operations community, is like a lot of guys will just get into contracting, which great money. There's a lot of opportunity, a lot of momentum from kind of your skill set prior to your time. And for me, my focus was how do I stay present in Prescott,
And sane.
Sane, and focus on my marriage and my kids, and just being a productive member of our community. And so that's when prior to moving back, it was like, okay, I'm going to get into barbering. So I opened up John Hancock Barber Shop with like a 1-chair shop. And then a buddy of mine moved out about a month and a half later, Damien, who's still in town. But the entire focus for John Hancock when I started it was really a healthy place for cultivating relationships, within a masculine environment. And at the time, Prescott had, or the region had, about 167 salons, and there was about 11 barbershops. And so I had done
A lot of shaggy guys walking around.
I'd done a lot of research. I called a lot of the salons, a lot of the barbershops. I knew kind of, hey, that's where I'm going to focus on. And I'll use, cutting men's hair as the means to get into business, and then entrepreneurship, and continually grow business, but then also curate and collect good people. And so that's Founding Fathers has just become an extension of that.
I think that's a great way to explain it, because I've been there. Well, one of the first places friends took me was Founding Fathers when I first landed out here. You got to see this place, and you walk in. Okay, there's the John Hancock Barbershop, but then there's the beer garden, then there's the jujitsu gym, then there's the other gym, then there's the men's shop, then there's special events.
Yeah.
Then there's a hallway.
Then there's like a speakeasy, and there's a cigar place, and there's a ton outside space. And
So
Yeah.
it's more, someone says, oh, it's the haircut. No, it's not. It's an event, and it's a lifestyle. It's really awesome. If you haven't had a chance to head out there yet, they're down there north on Granite, right outside of downtown, Founding Fathers Collective. And what's your next special event you have coming up?
So I think our next major special event is going to be May 22nd, I believe, which
Memorial
is
Day.
Yep, Friday. And that's the day school gets out for the community. So we're doing an entire block party. So we already got a crew from the city shutting down the whole street.
I think it shuts down every Friday night on that street anyway.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Folks, head out there Memorial Day, plan that, but don't wait that long. Head on out, get some coffee, get whatever you need. FoundingFathersCollective.com, right?
Yes.
FoundingFathersCollective.com. We'll be right back with Grant talking more about military and shooting.
All righty. Refresh the clock. We're good on that one.
So let's go to 1 minute.
We'll do the 1 minute. Yep. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Hey folks, Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show. Welcome back here. You know, being in Prescott is an amazing thing. We're so glad to be out here, but we wouldn't be out here without the sponsors. Sponsors make the world go round, and you all know that. So you need to understand who are the Second Amendment supporters in town, who are helping bring information to you. So number one, we're going to talk about here, we have Founding Fathers Collective. Founding Fathers Collective is a great place. I mean, you're talking about just a place to hang out. You want coffee, get your hair cut, you want a beer, whatever you need. I think you can find it there at Founding Fathers Collective. Check them out at foundingfatherscollective.com. We've got Summit 4x4. Summit 4x4 has got a new location on Miller Valley Parkway. Bucky O'Neill's Guns over on Grove Avenue. You got a great opportunity for that. And Prescott Shooting Range. You know, go see Pete and Val. And you've also got Jay's Bird Barn. So these are all people involved in Prescott, bringing the news to you. And don't forget to get your candies at Pralines in Prescott. Say hi to Sean and Diane. We'll be right back. Cut out that "we'll be right back" part.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, sorry.
It's like you've done this for 10
Don't
years.
forget to get your candies at Pralines in Prescott. Say hi to
You
Sean
have
and
done
Diane.
the show for 10 years, right? In California.
That's what I told you.
Just started. Good command presence.
So that's good. We got 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay. 30.
No, it's 9:30 here.
Sorry. Keeping me on my toes.
Well, once we get this our formats down, it'll be just banging it out.
All right.
All right, so back to you. Oops, that's not it.
And
That's
then what's the end cap? Actually, we'll talk about this after it's done.
the end cap of the.
We'll talk about it once it's done.
All right, once it's done.
Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, folks, welcome back. We're joining us here with my special guest, Grant Quezada, Founding Fathers Collective, but he's a little bit more than that. If you've bumped into him around town, I tell you what, my first time around town, everybody says, you got to meet Grant, you got to meet Grant, you got to meet Grant. It's like, okay, maybe I should go meet Grant. So fortunately, I was able to do so, and he's a pretty interesting guy. Now, you heard in our last segment here, as I think with most special forces, not all, because people are people, but with most special forces guys, very understated. Oh yeah, I just, did some military time. Oh no, 2nd Ranger Battalion, sniper section. Oh, I don't know, 6 tours. I don't know, 14, slightly understated exactly about that. So we're going to kind of kick him a little bit and make him talk more about himself here, about his military service. Number one, sir, thank you for the sacrifices you made in protecting us. And I really do mean that. But tell us a little bit about how you joined the military from Missouri, right?
Mm-hmm.
23 years old. So you're like the old man in the group, right?
Yeah, definitely one of the older ones. Also, thanks for your support. So I appreciate it. And for any of the veterans out there, I just learned this probably in the last couple of months, but you kind of always feel awkward and people are like, hey, thanks for your service. You don't really know how to respond to that. But somebody was like, you're the proper response is thanks for your support. So I've been trying to say that a lot more, but it makes a lot more sense. But anyways, yeah, joined the Army in 2006 out of Springfield, Missouri. Went to basic training, and from there went to airborne. And
Was it your intention from the beginning to try special forces?
yeah, yes, it was. So growing up, you know, I knew all about the special operations community. My stepfather spent 21 years in the Army. He retired at the 10th Special Forces Group. So he spent the last 14 years of his career in 10th Group. And, you know, he's a solid male role model in my life.
He's still here in Prescott, isn't
Still
he?
here in town. Yeah, him and my mom.
Teaching CCW classes?
Mhm. Yep. So he was, after he left the Army, he became a YCSO deputy here for about 15 years. And then he's been retired for probably 10, I think, and still stays youthful and sprightly and great guy. But yeah, so I spent going back to when I enlisted, I had gotten in trouble here in town when I was 16. And so that kind of hindered my ability to go in at 18. And then when I was able to get in at 23, I was unable to secure a contract for any type of special operations, largely because of my juvenile record. So I was able to get in, and then it was up to me and through basic training to kind of earn my way into what type of special operations vectoring I was moving towards. And at the time,
What was your intention to begin with?
my intention was, well, it was,
You joined the Army, so you want to be
yeah,
Green Beret.
yeah. So either some type of special operations. And at that time, 2006, I mean, we'd been at war with Afghanistan for 5 years, Iraq for like 2.5, 3. And my biggest concern was, man, I'm going to go through all this training and the war's going to end and I'm not going to ever participate in it. And so one of the fastest ways to get into
Oh boy, weren't you wrong on that?
Yeah, I know. But one of the fastest ways to get into special operations still, but you know, back then was you get there through Ranger Regiment. So it was a 2-month kind of selection process. And then a lot of the training comes after you get into Ranger Regiment, to where that's when you're going to all the specialty schools that they will send you to. Whereas in a lot of the other units, those schools are kind of front loaded. And then you go through your year or 2-year pipeline, and then you end up in special forces or the SEALs or PJs, CCT, whatever the special operations group might be. And so for us, you go through your selection process, and then you get into Ranger Regiment. You go to one of the 3 battalions, and then while you're there, then it's very dog eat dog, and everything is, you're earning your space into different schools throughout the training cycles. And it's a pretty high attrition rate. I think we lose about 50 to 60% of guys a year. And if you are go to a school, you get kicked out of the school, you don't pass, or you maybe are very competent E4 or E5, and then you get promoted to your next position, you can't cut the mustard. I mean, you're immediately kicked out. So one of the kind of strengths with Ranger Regiment is really our RFS policy. So release for standards.
Merit-based.
Yeah, everything's merit-based. Everything is, you know,
If you identify as an E6, can you stay in?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I tried that. It's amazing. Nowadays, the Army
I know I'm an E5, but I identify as an E6.
The military and the Army these days, I mean, they'll just let you identify as whatever. That's the freaking nonsense
That's
that's
how you
going
get
on
the
right
promotions,
now.
yeah.
Oh, dude. Promotions, you just self-identify as whatever. It has become a woke culture, and I am glad to say that. But point is, it's like just went to, so you get to Ranger Regiment, and you know, then it's just, you have to bust your ass to
What was the hardest school?
stay there.
Because it's like you have orienteering, you have, you know, all
Yeah.
these different things.
Ranger school is a pretty big kick in the pants. So for us, you go through selection, you get to regiment, and then to stay in regiment, and especially in a leadership position, you have to go to Ranger school. And so Ranger school, there's really no affiliation with Ranger school and Ranger Regiment. Ranger school is just it's a premier leadership course, and you have anybody in the Army that can go, Marine Corps, Air Force, Navy. And so they do courses, you know, throughout the year. I think there's 10 courses a year, about a 25% or 75% attrition rate, something like that. And then in Ranger Regiment, to stay as a leader, you have to go to that course. And then you have guys in Special Forces that will go to that course, or 82nd or 10th Mountain Division, or SEALs, or, you know, so it's just a healthy gut check in leading your peers when you only have 1 or 2 meals a day, if that, and you're up for 21 to 24 hours a day. And I went through in the middle of winter, so it was like snowing and raining the whole time. When I went through mountain
Awesome.
phase, it was miserable. But that was a healthy
Another
gut
gut
check.
check.
Yeah.
So my understanding is the SEALs, they kind of discipline or something with cold,
Mhm.
and the Rangers, they use food.
Yeah. Yeah. Lack of food, lack of sleep, like you only are given
Sleep when you're dead.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So it's Ranger school. You're only given no more than 4 hours of sleep a night. And that's like at the best, everything else is, if you're not meeting the standard or whatever the training exercise is for that day into the night, then you won't
You're
even
making
sleep.
it up.
Yeah. So you're just making it up. So you have all these tasks, conditions, standards on a daily basis. And then maybe you get done in time with your peers and you get an hour of sleep, and the next night you get no sleep, and the third night you get 2 hours. And so it's 2 months of that. If you're lucky and you go straight through, there's a lot of attrition rate. People are getting recycled. They'll start a phase over. So it's a humbling experience.
I think they've gotten into such scientific management on this that they know exactly how many hours of sleep you can operate on right before you go full bonkers. They know your hypothermia, like we're talking with the guys in the SEALs, they've got it regulated down to, okay, they've got 33 more seconds they can be in the water before we got to yank them out.
Yeah.
And they run them right to that edge. They take them to the edge, probably take it over a few times, but it's an amazing amount of discipline that allows you guys to be the warriors to protect a society that's fat and sloppy. And as a fat and sloppy society, I don't think we appreciate that enough. So when did you decide to get into sniper school?
So I did a couple years on the line. So you start in regiment.
The line means
the line, like your assault, your platoon. So you do a couple years. You kind of earn your keep on the line within a Ranger battalion, and that's in your companies. So about 90 to 100 guys, 3 different platoons, so 30 to 40 guys per platoon.
Where was your first overseas?
First overseas was Afghanistan, early 2008, and then I got to Ranger Battalion in early 07. I missed that deployment because we stood up a new company, and so the 10 guys I got there with, 5 guys went to the other companies, and then me and 4 guys went to Delta Company and kind of stood up Delta Company.
Folks, Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show. We'll be right back here with Grant Quezada. Check us out at firinglineradio.com for the podcast. We'll be right back.
Two more 10:30s.
Yep. So we're going to talk. Here's what I had for my plan. I probably should have shared it with you to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, I talked about sniper school and your involvement in that, and then your cut out that. We'll be right back.
Mhm.
Sniper school,
Yeah.
and then let's talk about long range shooting for the last segment. Just
Okay.
We'll get all geeky on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another 10:30. In 3, 2. In 3, 2, 1.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to Firing Line Radio Show. This is Philip Naiman. Hope you're having a great day out here and lovely, well, wherever you are. If you're in Southern California, I know it's going to be a great day because of the time of year it is. You're here in Prescott, it's obviously a great day too. So we try not to air in places that suck. So that's an important thing. We're having a great time out here. Folks, joining me, I have Grant Quezada. Grant Quezada, Ranger, sniper, patriot, businessman, father. We're having a great talk here. We're going to talk a little bit more about his military service. He went into the sniper school. So let's pick it up from there, Grant. Your sniper school. Why did you decide to do that?
Yeah. So, grew up on the line in Ranger Regiment, went to a bunch of different schools there. You kind of earn your keep and work your way into either leadership roles on the line, meaning team leader, squad leader, platoon sergeant, or you can assess to go to the specialty platoons. So we have the recce team or recce platoon.
Recce means?
Yep, reconnaissance teams. You have your sniper platoon. You have your K9 platoon. There's a couple other specialty platoons that yeah, not at liberty to say, but they do some cool stuff. And so, I always wanted to be a sniper. I did a couple deployments on the line as a saw gunner and a grenadier, and
which is like a sniper.
Yeah, with a machine gun. Yeah, totally.
So to
That whole one shot, one kill thing doesn't exist.
one bucket of ammo, one kill.
Exactly.
What is a saw gunner for those?
So saw gunner is like your squad automatic weapon, or your so it's a belt fed machine gun. That's
belt fed machine gun, about 26 pounds.
Yeah.
Unloaded.
Rounds. Well, we had man, it's been about a decade or more, but I think at the time it was either Mark 46 or Mark 48. And I'm getting that confused because you have
say Mark 47. Split the difference.
That's it.
Okay.
There. Well, I think that's something too. But Mark 46, I believe, was the proper terminology. But it's a belt fed. It's the equivalent of a saw, but it was only designed for special operations guys.
Okay.
And so you're talking, it's a 12-pound weapon, instead of like a 26-pound short little barrel. The whole thing's super compact.
So the quiet too.
Yeah, super. And we did have suppressors on them and stuff, but I mean, it's a freaking machine gun.
Okay, so you've got a machine gun, right?
Yeah.
It's a 308 caliber, right?
This one was a 5.56.
5.56.
Yep.
Okay, so it's 5.56, but you're running as a machine gun with a suppressor. You ever have a problem melting your suppressors? I mean,
we had some pretty solid suppressors. So I think at that time it was like Surefire was the one that won the contract. Actually,
but you're running some high rates of fire sometimes, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was on the test bed for the final T&E or test and evaluation for Surefire for their muzzle brakes and suppressors down in Nyland right after I got back from the special operations sniper course. And that was me and a couple SEALs and a couple Green Berets. And so we were kind of like the last group of operators that were testing out the muzzle brakes and flash hiders and suppressors when SOCOM won the contract, or not SOCOM, but when Surefire won the contract for SOCOM. Almost blew up my thumb too. It was awesome. I'd spent like a solid 9 weeks at the special operations sniper course. So I was only behind that long gun for a solid 9 weeks. I get back, I missed that deployment, which was the deployment Operation Red Wing went down, which was the gold squadron for the SEALs. And it was my platoon my platoon and sister platoon that were on the ground prior to that going down. So I talked, a ton of my buddies were on that operation and have firsthand accounts of what happened. I ended up not going because I was in the middle of that sniper school at the time. So when I got back like on a Friday or Saturday, and then my head shed was like, hey, can you go down to California to do this T&E for these suppressors and stuff, which was Monday. So I go down there and we're shooting little tiny 7.5 incher, upper receiver groups. Man, I about blew my thumb off because I stuck my thumb a little too close to the muzzle brake. Right when we got out to the range, shot the gun, freaking felt like I blew my thumb off because of the overpressure. Luckily, I was on the far right side of the range and the SEALs and the Green Berets are on the other side. And I'm like, dude, you got to be kidding me, dude. I just blew my thumb off in front of these guys. Like, oh my gosh, like senior E6. Like I looked down, thumb still there. I'm like, okay, great. Still there. But that being said, is like, we do this whole T&E for this, these suppressors, and they put us out on the range the first day, and I throw in a mag, flip it to full auto, and just let it rip, completely crack a can in half. And the guys from Surefire and SOCOM are like, what'd you do? And it's like, that's what's going to happen in combat. We got to see what this thing can do. Like, how did you guys, and then all of us, all the military guys are like, well, how are you guys actually testing these things? Oh, we're in a,
laboratory,
100-yard range indoors. We stick it in a vise. We shoot one round every minute for 5 minutes. Then we let it cool down. Then we shoot another. And it's like, that's not reality. Like what I just did is reality.
Right.
So it was they're like, oh, well, we didn't really want you guys to do that. And it's like,
you want the contract?
They got the contract. Yeah. I mean, at that point it was like already signed and done. And so, but they still make good stuff. So
no, Surefire makes them, I like their lights a lot. Yeah. So here's their gun lights. Here's what he's talking about. He's got a short upper, okay, short upper on an M4 with it.
Mhm.
So short upper on an AR-15 style weapon, short meaning a 7-inch barrel. At the end of the 7 inches, you've got, well, he's had a can on this, or he had a muzzle brake. And so the purpose of the muzzle brake is to keep you on target after your first shot. There's not a lot of recoil with a 223, right? If you need a muzzle brake for recoil on a 223, I'm sorry, man, you need to go to the gym. But the purpose of it is to stay on target for multiple shots, or to spot your shots down range, so you have less muzzle jump on that. But the way it does is it vents the gases from, instead of going straight out the barrel, sideways, not just sideways, but sideways and back. And the amount of pressure that comes out of a firearm is unbelievable. You're talking about, say a 308, something of that caliber, you might have 3,000 foot-pounds of energy throwing the bullet down range, and that pressure has to go somewhere. And if your hand is near that, I know Carl Ross, a friend of mine, had a 454 Casull, lost his thumb when he first figured out about how overpressure works.
Yeah.
But
It's a good way to learn.
one time. but the gas is also about 2,000 degrees, so it's, it'll not only take it off, but it'll sear it shut too. Right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things. You don't want to be on the pointy end of the gun is probably the number one. Did they teach you that in Ranger School? Pointy end bad.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but you're sleeping the whole time, so you don't remember much.
That was sleeping.
Sleepwalking.
You sleep with your eyes open.
Yeah, that was one of those funny, like, humble pie moments, because at that point I'd been in for
But
about
they didn't see it.
6 years, and it's
But they didn't see it, right?
No, nobody
You
saw
put
it.
your hand in your pocket and then
No, and I don't tell that story often, so you guys are all getting that funny story, because it's like the best part about military stories is find the guy that can be self-deprecating and have a joke at his expense, and that's okay.
it's perfect.
Like,
All right. So what was sniper school like?
So I went to the Big Army Sniper School, which is at Fort Benning. So in Ranger Regiment, you kind of go through a selection process. You get to your platoons, specialty platoons. I went to the sniper platoon. There was several schools that they could send you to. We could go to MARSOC Sniper School or MARSOF, the Big Army Sniper School, the Special Operations Sniper School at Fort Bragg, which was SODIC or SIFSIC.
And what weapon did you end up with?
So we had a slew of weapons. So that most of the time, if you're going to any one of those schools, you're primarily going to shoot 7.62 or 308, and then you're shooting a 50 cal, and that's usually what you're qualing on. And the 50 cal is just kind of, there might be a week or something of training, but most of your time is all the field trade or field craft stuff, ghillies, snipers, target detection, all the stuff that, like, you see in the movies that will help, an individual become a sniper. And then, of course, a huge part of that is all your gates on testing with how well you can shoot your gun and how well you can spot and work as a team.
What's considered acceptable marksmanship for a sniper?
Well, if you go through the SODIC course or SIFSIC, which is out at Bragg, that's the Special Operations course. It's about a 9-week course. I believe the standard at the time when I went through was 2011. But you're supposed to be able to shoot within 1 meter of an assaulter at 100 yards. And that's what you're capable of doing, or that's what you're trusted to do. So if
1 meter?
Yep. So 3 feet
of an assaulter.
Yeah. So
yards.
if you're sitting in a static position and you had your assaulters, let's say, entering a building,
not being assaulted.
Yeah. You would be able
you're
to
protecting your guys.
Right. You would be able to directly engage with or help support your team and be trusted to engage a target within 3 feet of friendly.
Got it.
So, and that's like, I mean, that shows that you're expected to take some pretty close, well-aimed shots and placement, know where your round's going, but acceptable, really, it should come down to, like, if you can shoot at 100 yards within 1 MOA, which, that means 1 inch loosely, 1 inch at 100 yards or meters. And that's acceptable. You as the shooter should do that. The gun should do that. The ammo should do that. And then, of course, you have variables that go into that. Well, how well was the gun made?
Lots of
And
variables.
there's all the other nonsense that people
We'll talk about that on our next
chase.
segment.
Yeah.
Folks, Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show. Get the podcast, firinglineradio.com. We'll be right back after this. 10 over.
Somewhere around there.
Okay. So let's go to 10:20.
Okay.
Perfect.
One, and 3, 2, 1.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to Firing Line Radio Show. Once again, we're proud to be out here on KQNA in Prescott and AM 590 in Southern California. We're having a great time here with my special guest, Grant Quezada. He's enlightening us about what's going on, or what went on, I should say, at sniper school and long range shooting. And this last segment, we're going to talk a little bit more about long range shooting. As we just got off of that last portion, you were saying there's a lot of different variables: how well the rifle's made, your bullets, probably your condition, and how heavy you're breathing at the point in time you have to make a critical shot. And let's just talk about the equipment now. So you still do some long range shooting. You did some competition shooting.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to go down and I think April 22nd compete at Sniper Fest down in the Valley, and I'm shooting with a buddy, Eli Crane, who's running for Congress. So I think he's representing our district, but he was a Navy SEAL. And then him and I are going to shoot as a team down at Sniper Fest in a couple of weeks. So
I'm going to be in Oklahoma for CCW Safe that weekend, but that sounds like otherwise I would have won the contest.
Yes. Well, totally. I got a call. Like I asked a question to the board. Hey, can we go down and shoot this? Cause I shot the competition a couple of years ago, and I got a nice polite call back from, I would assume, some police officer who's helping run and facilitate. And he's like, hey, we talked together as a board. We're okay with you guys coming out. But we're a little hesitant because we don't want you guys to mop the floor with us. And I'm like, dude, you got nothing to worry about. Both him and I haven't shot. We've never shot together. And I'm a little rusty, and we're just out there to have a good time and hopefully
lower expectations.
Oh yeah. And hopefully
Take
just
the prize.
introduce Eli to, the law enforcement military community within the state and kind of the region, so people get to see who he is, and then really just allows me to slow down for a day and go shoot some guns. So I'm okay with that.
So what will you be shooting in that?
I'm going to shoot a 224 Valkyrie, and then Eli's going to shoot a 6.5.
Okay. So 222, how many? Yeah. 224 Valkyrie. Explain that. It's AR-15 or 223 platform, and how they improved it.
Yeah. So it's like totally a hopped up, pretty much 22 caliber round, but you have your 223, which at the low end is a 55 grain bullet and maxes out at a 77 grain. And that's one of the sniper rifles I had in the military. Was an SPR, a special purpose rifle.
So, and
Mark 11,
so sometimes I have to explain a few things here. So the reason that it would max out on 77 grains, even though you could get 100 or a 95 grain bullet, is your magazine length, guys. So if you have a 95 grain 22 caliber bullet and you're pushing it into a 223, you're taking up half of your cartridge capacity. Yep. So your overall length, the most you can really do if you're using a 223 or AR-15 platform, is a 77 grain bullet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like a 77 grain bullet in the military is a Mod 0 or Mod 1 262 Black Hills, phenomenal cartridge, especially for precision shooting out of an AR, AR-15 or
platform, yeah.
M16 platform, M4. That was by far my favorite sniper rifle. I was close to being an assaulter capabilities, but could still engage out to accurately 600-700 all day. And since primarily I was always working at nighttime, it gave me the capability to do a lot of climbing, run around on the top of buildings, still clear rooms by myself or, partner, or just the
more functional than an M40.
Yeah, a lot more functional. And we had 7.62 platforms and a couple different gas guns and bolt guns, and we had a pretty good arsenal of weapons we could choose from. But I just love that SPR. So anyways, the 224 Valkyrie is kind of like the next step up from 223. And that round starts at a 90 grain, and it's still delivering a muzzle velocity that's akin to a 77 grain, but you just have a lot more powder and the capability to stay supersonic longer with more kinetic energy at distance. And so really you're getting a ton of accuracy at longer range in an AR platform that, a traditional 223 or 5.56 gas gun is going to fail at once it gets past 600 or 700 yards, right? Which you can always push those guns further. They're always capable of going further, but you
don't know what you're going to get specifically.
Yeah. And when you're getting a 224 Valkyrie, it's like you can push that thing out to 1,000 all day.
So the 90 grain, I don't know if you handled your own or not, but I use in the 22 Creedmoor, I use a 95 grain Sierra Match King.
Cool.
It's got a BC at 600
Yeah, that's awesome.
out of a 22 caliber, and then with the 22 Creedmoor is a 6.5 necked all the way down to 22. It's the proper Creedmoor.
Jeez.
So
that's
it's awesome. So it's a great thing, but you've got the 22 Valkyrie or 224 Valkyrie. You've got the ability to shoot consistently multiple rounds downrange on target with extended range. So it's a great opportunity for that. What will Eli be shooting?
So he got a new, I think he picked up a new Sig Sauer 6.5 Creedmoor, their bolt gun, which is that a Sig Cross or something like that. And so he wanted to shoot that, which that puts him in the sniper role.
So
and
sniper combination, you guys both
Mhm.
do each stage. You have to clear 6 or 7 targets and he makes precision shots,
Yep.
something like that.
Yeah. So in this capacity, the two roles that we have is like spotter shooter. And so he'll be the main shooter because he's shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor, wants to shoot that. And I'll be more conducting myself in the spotter role and then follow-up shots or secondary shots with an AR platform. So he'll shoot a bolt gun, I'll shoot a gas gun. And then because it's more of a police competition or a law enforcement competition, it's going to be down at Cowtown. And a lot of those engagements are a lot closer because traditionally law enforcement, you're
Under
talking
100.
77, I think, or 73 yards is like your average shot that a law enforcement takes when it comes to precision. And so they allow you to shoot out in that competition further. I think last time I competed, we had a few shots that were maybe 1,000 just because guys have those guns and they want to push them out. But most of the shots we had were like 500 and in, and there's quite a bit of shots that were 100 and in. And so they want to see how well do you know your height over bore, your mechanical offset, or your, and how well can you deliver accurately at 50 yards if there was a target, like a tee box or something like that. And so
height over bore. So an important thing to think about here, folks. We've all heard stories about a sniper, say a police sniper sitting in the back of a room overlooking down at the bank building, and he wants to be as low as possible. So when he takes his shot, although his crosshairs cleared the windowsill, his bullet did not.
Yep.
You've got a gap between your barrel and your line of sight. Your line of sight is always straight. Your barrel, from the second the millisecond the bullet starts leaving the barrel, it starts dropping due to gravity. So it actually arcs from below the scope through your line of sight coming up. And for your 223, you're probably sighting in about 67 yards dead on going up.
To zero, I'm going to zero
67 up, and then that's about a 200 yard zero on the other side.
So I'll zero that at 100. I'd zero all my rifles at 100, and
so it's like 37 yards coming up is your first pass.
Yep. So like my AR-15s, I'll zero at 33 yards.
33. Okay.
And the reason being for those is just you get super accurate engagements from pretty much point targets, like 30 yards in front of you, 5 yards in front of you, all the way out to about 420 yards. So you're talking, from, let's say, 30 yards all the way up to 450, your round is only rising or falling a total of like 12 inches. Yeah. So it's like, it's right in the sweet spot, and you don't even have to range a target or know the distance. You pretty much know, hey, I can just point and shoot. I'm going to hit somewhere within that 12 inches.
So we do that, let's say the hunting rifle, you might sight in at 300 yards. So that makes it 2.5 high at 100, 2.5 to 3 inches high at 100, 2.5 to 3 inches high at 200, dead on at 3, about 3 inches low at 340. Yeah. So, if it's under 340 yards, you hold where you want it. You're 2 inches high, 2 inches low, send it. And you're doing the same thing with your AR platform for battle. But because people are more vertical targets, you can have a 6 inch high, 6 inch low window and still make it count.
Yeah. And so you're hedging your bets, like when it comes to understanding how to manipulate your scope and your turrets and whether you're dialing or not. And that's another thing too, with like a lot of precision shooting or we'll say military sniper engagements. There's a lot of the traditional sniper engagements that you might have seen from movies, to where, hey, if you're the sniper, you're dialing your reticle, your turrets, and you're trying to get an accurate placement on the first shot.
You're going to use
but really,
your
for what I was doing and a lot of my peers, it's a lot more of a dynamic battle space. And so it's awesome if you can get an engagement your first shot, but the reality is, like, I don't have time to mess around with my turrets. And so you've seen an advancement in reticle creation,
Looks like the
creativity.
Christmas tree underneath there.
Yep.
Me.
Everything I shoot is like a Christmas tree, which a lot of that stuff was created by, Horace,
yeah.
Todd Hodnett, which I've been out to Todd's class, I think 6 times.
And
out in
Dimitri
Canadian Texas.
Markoulis. Yeah, he's got a lot of those.
Yep. So that's kind of what you shoot. And then you're just manipulating the reticle to get the mathematical, height and how you hold. And so,
And that's why you went to sniper school.
Yeah. And everything's like a secondary follow-on shot.
Folks, I want to thank my special guest, Grant Quezada, Founding Fathers Collective here in Prescott. If you're ever out here in Prescott, check them out. If you're visiting, if you live here, you already know where it's at. Go get a coffee and a beer and a haircut. Grant, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Philip. I appreciate being on the show, man. Welcome to town.
Thank you. Folks, firinglineradio.com for the podcast. Have a great weekend. God bless.
All right, and we're out. So that's a little question for you. How come you shoot the 224 Valkyrie rather than like a 6mm arc or dasher?
Dude, those rounds are so hard to find. And I got like super into competitive shooting when I got out of the military. And I was shooting with like a lot of the crew up in Chino, right? So like Nick Owens and all those guys. Yeah. So great dude. They know their stuff. But the problem with everything is like you just have people that are constantly racing to try to eke out every bit of like accuracy at every level. And then of course if you have the time, a new round gets created and people just like, oh, that's the new latest hotness. I'm going to get to it. And at the end of the day, it's like, that's fine. But one, the current state of affairs in America, it's like, do you have the money to buy those rounds? 2, can you even find those rounds? 3, it's like, if you're talking a rifle, like an end of days type of rifle, it's like, I'm not going any of those rounds, like I'm going to go to 223 because 50% of people around here are going to have 223 in their house, like I'm never going to find 6mm arc or 224 Valkyrie.
The other side of that, yeah, you're going to have to really support yourself. Yeah. But the other side of that is a lot of people say, you need a 223, a 308, 9mm 45, because if the end of the world ever happens, you'll be able to buy ammo. It's like, look what just happened with COVID, right? The end of the world happened for toilet paper.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any toilet paper around. And then you went to a store, what was on the shelf? There wasn't any 9mm 45, 223. It was all gone. What was there? 300 WSM, 270 WSM, 6.5 by 55. Yeah. The weird stuff.
Yep.
So I would say that when people think that, it's like, it's not going to be true because number one, there's no store to go to. And, you should have your own ammo, period. Yeah. Don't plan on battlefield pickups or something silly like that.
If you're going to have to take ammo, you need to shoot a caliber that is widely.
Well, if you're going to have to take ammo, then you're taking ammo from the bad guys, which would be 7.62 by 39.
No, I'm thinking
the enemy.
Shit goes south and you have to plug out north of Chino and go north.
Yeah, I mean, like,
so you,
dude, all my pistols are 9mm because it's readily available.
And
ballistically,
everybody in the family can use it.
Yeah, it's become. No way, dude. I've never owned a 45. I'm practical, man. Like I have a.
Are we still recording on Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a.
You want to keep?
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I have like I have an Accuracy International 300 Win Mag. I have a surgeon, bolt gun that's 260. I have 265 Creedmoors that are bolt guns. I have a LaRue Tactical 308. I have a LaRue Tactical 260. I have air precisions for all my AR builds, and everyone's very specific. I have a 7.5-inch SBR. I have a 10-inch SBR. I have a 14-inch Barnes Precision.
Yeah, those are all registered, right?
No, yeah, they're registered. They're legitimate SBRs. Yeah,
we're recording. I want to make sure.
Oh yeah, they're all legitimate SBRs. But my point is like, man, if I'm going to spend my money, it'll be on very specific things, and I don't branch out of that just because of my training. And I love it seeing some, like I have a buddy that just has so many guns. It's insane, but he's got the money and the finances to afford to have a slew of different cartridges and guns. And like talking to Philip, it sounds like you have awesome.
I've caught the bug, but the issue for me, I mean, actually one of the fun things is like I like to hunt, right? I really love big game hunting. But you look, that's 1 month of the year, basically.
Yeah.
It can be longer for different seasons, but it's one specific time of the year. But what I like to do is develop cartridges, develop systems, because it keeps me doing it all year long.
Mhm.
You know, it's my hobby.
It keeps the itch itching.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it's hey, what can this
I
do?
can fish all year round, fish all year round.
Right.
Yep.
Same,
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
I have enough money to go and dump 1,000 rounds each weekend.
Oh, yeah.
1,000 rounds each weekend.
There's also something to be said too about like
One gun, knowing it.
one gun, because the more you incorporate into your arsenal, you get diminishing returns on what the hell you know you're doing.
Yep.
You know, it's like, cool, I have all these guns. The problem is I have all those guns. So every time I go out, I'm like,
Where's this
okay,
gonna shoot?
I haven't shot that in a while. I'm going to take that one out. I know how to shoot that one. And then I'm just going through all my data, you know, like, all right, where's my book on my 6.5 Creedmoor, all my data? Where's my app?
See, that's what
It's
I
like,
have
I
too.
don't have
I have
time for that. You know, it's like just
I've got a little
grab my-
spiral notebook for each firearm.
Yep.
And it's got
That's more involved than I am.
Yeah.
well,
I have a notes page on my iPhone that. it's
well,
like, this
yeah, but
shoots
see,
one time,
electronics
Yeah.
go out, and
Yeah.
the bad thing is you're out here shooting in the desert, and the sun comes out, and you can't read your phone.
Yep.
So my little my little 3x5 is always there, and I just on the cover, big old Sharpie says 7 STW, right? Whatever my other weird cartridges are,
Yeah.
but each book goes with each gun, and that's the only way I can keep them straight. Because if you just shot a 300 Win mag, you know where it is all the time.
Yep.
But if you're enjoying life and you're moving back and forth, you need to have a system.
100%. Yeah. And really, like with 308 or 7.62,
All the data that's out there is
there is no other rifle cartridge that has more data collected
Yeah.
than 308, period.
You don't
is
even have to
so
test it.
It is such a consistent round. And so it's like, you need to, I mean, it's easy to talk shit on it. Like, oh man, you got 6.5 Creedmoor and all these other like Wildcat rounds that are getting more and more popular, which are true. But it's like, man, 308, you're talking is just, when it comes to consistently and like provable data, consistency, I mean, everything is like, you start going into the evolution of how we have gone from G1 to G7 to like Brian Litz to all the compiled data on long range precision shooting. It's like, dude, it was like an SF colonel that spent 15 years at range 37, which is SODIC or SIFSIC. And when he left, he gave his entire data book to the U.S. Army Special Forces Command. And then they turned that into ATRAG, which predates Kestrel ballistics. Kestrel borrowed pretty much all their ballistic data from ATRAG, from
back
the
into
Special
it.
Forces side of the house. And then, you know, that was like in the 90s into the early 2000s. And then from there, the next evolution was like Brian Litz and Todd Hodnett and those guys in the mid 2000s.
Yeah,
And
I've
those
had
are the
Brian
guys
on the
that
show
like,
several times.
oh yeah. And
He's
those are the
awesome.
guys that like completely revolutionized long range shooting. I mean, entirely revolutionized it.
And then you got like guys like David Tubb or
Yep.
Paul Phillips.
Mhm. And David Tubbs, his school is like 30 minutes from Todd Hodnett's school.
I don't
So-
tend to do a lot of long range shooting. I do a lot of.
So far,
Well, I don't
you're
tend
still
to do
young.
a
You're only
lot.
21.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have a lot of long range guns. I have one or two, but I tend to do more.
You should see what some of the guys are doing with 22 long rifles.
Oh, dude.
I shoot my 22 at 400 yards.
Yeah,
See?
see?
That's
I mean,
if
that's
you can
my-
shoot 400
that's my
yards with
long
a
range.
if you can shoot 400 yards with a
Yeah.
22, if you can do that with a 22, you have all the skill sets of a long range shooter.
Yeah,
I can shoot 9mm accurately out to 400
Nice.
with a pistol.
furthest is 200 feet.
Like,
It depends upon the background because you need something on the hill to aim at
Yeah.
to drop it in.
You're a cloud. As long as there's no wind, you can aim
Oh,
at
yeah.
a cloud, you're fine.
and pistol, certain type of pistol.
That's awesome.
I've had a very good opportunity on the gun site.
Yeah.
This is done.
All right.